Thank you. Welcome. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of September, I've left up the exact date, 27th, of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. This meeting is being recorded, and we welcome folks here in person, and we also welcome folks who are online. We thought we would start really quickly by just saying hello, introducing ourselves, because we have not been together as a group in person. We met physically at all the first time, so I think it's actually a milestone. It's a wonderful thing, and we welcome those of you online. Don't take it in any way as an affront that I didn't say that I was thrilled, because we are thrilled that you're here too. I'll just start. I'll say I'm Joe Diamond, co-chair with Anjali. You want to say hello?
Hello everyone. I am remote today just because I'm a little bit under weather and I don't want to bring the germs to everyone, but I hope to see you everyone in person in the next meeting.
Very good. Thank you. We're just going to run the table.
Yeah. Ankit, if you guys didn't meet me at the last meeting, I'm a high school senior at WestfordCAT, and I'm excited to be here.
Very good. Thanks.
I'm Catherine Clear. I'm the school committee liaison, and I'm very excited to be officially working with the town DEI group this year.
I'm Madonna McKenzie, and I'm on the DEI committee, but I'm also working with the school's DEI as a representative of the DEI.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Kathy Creed, alternate DEI.
I'm Nancy Cook. I'm a lifetime resident of Westford, and I love this community.
Hi, I'm Seema Pusalkar, and I'm one of the members with Joe since the inception of the committee.
I'm Mary Claire O'Neill. I'm also an alternate member, and I'm also a liaison to the school DEI committee.
Thank you.
Scott Harkness, I'm on the DEI committee.
Me too.
Give us your name, honey.
Yeah, my name is Henning Bao. I'm on the member with the Scott.
Very good.
Not the first time.
Yes, yeah, nobody else.
Why don't we move to, and I'll just say hello to folks and ask you to say hello yourselves. Wendy, please say hello.
Hi, folks. My name is Wendy Gloyd, and I am currently in Provincetown. Also have a cold, so 2 reasons I couldn't be there in person, but good to see you all.
First one is more impressive. Say, I'm glad you're in. Let's see. Oh, and Patricia.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you very much. And then Magali, we'll absolutely get to you in a moment. Why don't you say hello, however, you don't mind, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Magali Ronan. I am the Director of Equity, Curriculum, and Instruction, and I have the pleasure of being here as a representative of the schools. Thank you for having me.
Good to your moment. Why don't we move to open forum? And then there are a couple of items for open forum. I have one, but I'll hold it until the chance.
I wanted to talk about that there is an email that we received, and I'm happy to forward that email to all the members of the DEI committee. The email came from Mike Wells, who is the IT director in the town. It looks like he's looking for some representation from the town. Doesn't have to be just this committee, so it is all about spreading a word. Anyone who has the skills, knowledge, or interest in helping the town redesign its website, they are welcoming that kind of a representation, and people who are interested and have the bandwidth. A lot of times I end up signing up for things and I cannot follow through because I don't have the bandwidth. So make sure that you do have the bandwidth and you can attend their meetings when they ask, and then can contribute in this particular effort. I do not have more details about what is the commitment from time and everything else, but I'm happy to share that email to all of you, and you can directly work with Mike Wells if you are interested, or if anyone is interested can directly work with Mike. Over to you, Joe. Nothing else from me.
Thank you. Any other one? Nancy, did you have?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Westford Remembers is hosting, is hosting our second annual cultural block party on October 22nd at the 4-H fair. Wendy has been invaluable putting together a flyer and getting tables and people to come. If anybody has a place where they could put out a flyer, we would love that. We would love it if you would all come. We would love if the church could come again, honey. But we also came up with these today, these t-shirts that we thought we were going to sell. We are going to sell for $15 a shirt. Wendy made them much better. They were all ladies and now they're not. So we have, it's all coming together rather quickly. It's going to be here and we're at the 4-H grounds this year.
Okay.
But yeah. Worth it. Thank you.
So that's an item on the agenda, the block party, and I mean, we've got some volunteers to support it.
Yes.
And so we can get into a little more detail later. Great. Anybody else? No. I have one. I think in your packets, you'll see this flyer for a movie, Who We Are, Chronicle of Racism in America. It's on October 11th at the Lowell Cinemas. It's sponsored by Community Teamwork Inc. You may have gotten something.
I'm going to do that.
You're gonna be there. Oh, great. By day, I work with this group and others like it, and they've reached out to us, many of us. And I think it's a good opportunity. It's a documentary by Jeffrey Robinson, and he's actually going to be here for discussion after. So I think it's a good opportunity. And the reason I bring it up is not just because I think it stands on its own, but I think it's this kind of thing as well that we need to do for sort of community education. Note it if you can, and if you can join, I think there's a way to register, but if not, I think they actually swap it.
Well, you mentioned it's October 11th.
October 11th, it should be in your packet.
It's an evening time, right?
It is, it starts at 4:30.
That's Wednesday.
Yeah, 5:30 screening.
Thank you.
It says RSVP by August 31st.
They were
Sorry.
still
Yeah.
sending it out to school committee as well, only in the last week or two, so.
Okay, so you can, so if you want to, we should.
You go through the same route you had to go through to sign up for the Kimball's Westford when they were at Kimball's.
Oh, okay.
It's the same, it's the
It
same,
is the
same
Eventbrite,
organization.
Eventbrite.
If anybody needs it, I can send it on to you.
But what we'll try to do is any other items for open forum? Just but know your name. New person.
Megan.
Megan, how are you? Please say hello.
Just introduce yourself.
We just all introduced ourselves.
Oh, it's good.
Sorry, that was perfect.
My name is Megan, this is my second meeting. I think I'm an alternate member, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I've been in the restaurant for the last 7 years. Finally thought I should. Or something. My daughter was in the school newspaper and I got to know a lot of what is happening in the school committee and everything. And now that she's gone, I was feeling like a what? I'm like, what?
She was your link to the gospel.
Yeah. Through her, I got to know so much about it because through her, I would attend all the school committee meetings, the town communication was writing the best the various writers. And she got the journals who want to be I think this is I think it's really nice. I think first time Anjali asked me to join and I jumped in. I'm like, wow, this is I don't mind that.
Thank you, Angela. And welcome. One don't we move at this point, unless there's anything else built before, why don't we move to our guest? Magali, how are you, Magali? We thought we would connect with Magali as we are connecting with the school committee, and the school DEI committee, just to have a sense of the scope of your work as the Director of Equity, Curriculum, and Instruction. Is this your second year with us in Westford? I've had the opportunity and pleasure of meeting Magali and working with her a little bit. And I must say she's a very resourceful person from many perspectives, including DEI. So we're very curious about your plans, your approach to the coming year when it comes to DEI and curriculum. So welcome.
Thank you for having me again. I have had the pleasure of starting to initiate the conversations with Joe last year. This year I was able to also speak one-on-one with Wendy, which was a pleasure to get to know each other. I'm so excited that this is my second year here. I've had a year to kind of listen, watch, observe, kind of get a feel of the district. Again, I said before, and I'll reiterate it now, that this is a really unique opportunity that my position was created with the purpose of putting equity in the forefront of curriculum and instruction. And I think it was really wise of whoever designed this role committee. I know there was a committee that came up with this title too, is they really felt like it should be the first and foremost lens. And so I value that, because in other districts, the DEI person has been separate from teaching and learning or curriculum. And this is the first time. And when I share my role with other stakeholders across the state, they're thinking, wow, that's what we need. So kudos to Westford for coming up with the position and to making that commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I really believe in the role in a sense of, if we are going to make change, it's going to come through our curriculum and through our instruction. And part of the work that I know that was done here that I need to amplify and build on is that sense of belonging. That work was started before I came here. There was also some work done on anti-racism and anti-bias work. That work needs to continue here. I will champion that. It's important as we move forward. It's critical at this point in Westford's history, I think, to embrace this type of position. Not that I'm defending it to keep a job, but like it's unique in a sense that, you know, our population is changing, and it's changing rapidly, and it is increased. We have a lot of multilingual learners coming in, and families that are diverse, are interracial, and it is important for us to educate ourselves and each other about some of those underlying unconscious bias that we may have. You know, I identify as a Puerto Rican American or American Puerto Rican, and I had my foot in two worlds. You know, not being Puerto Rican enough, and not being white enough going through the public school system in Lowell. And so I get a sense that there are children in our schools that may be feeling the same way. So the commitment's there from the administration. It is actually an exceptional time for Westford Public in a sense of that we have a new superintendent in leadership. It is there's a commitment of a strategic district improvement plan that has had a lot of stakeholder input and feedback. And there is a commitment to equity. Of the 4 priorities of the district strategic plan, the first three are equity. So the commitment is there and it's strong, and it is becoming part of the fabric of our work. So, that's why it's critical. Our population is changing, and it's always changing, and we need to be prepared for being culturally responsive in our teaching, culturally competent, being more self-aware of our own biases. So a concrete example I can give is, being part of conversations in a school last year where there were some, feelings of identity and feeling a sense of belonging, and working to build the curriculum in a way that reflects all of our students' identities. One of my firm beliefs is, equity is about making room for everyone in our curriculum. And so those are one of my strong beliefs, having not seen myself in the curriculum as a Puerto Rican American. It wasn't until I read Health on Mango Street, my 5th grade class, when I taught, and Esmeralda Santiago when I was Puerto Rican. I read that as a coordinator when I was like 30 something. So, part of my work is to enhance and to amplify where in the curriculum can I support more representation of our diverse population, and of recognizing that, differences are actually assets, like that, and that is there are all these gifts that children bring to us. So the integration of DEI in the curriculum, I see it coming from first an instructional point of view. I've been charged with, educating our leaders on universal design for learning. Universal design is built on the beliefs that we want to embrace variability. There is no average student. And so embracing the variability of all of our students creates a more inclusive environment. If we are embracing the variability of all our students, then we need to plan for the variability of all our students. So in Universal Design for Learning, we have 3 principles or guidelines that help plan. And what we want to do in the planning is to engage 3 parts of the brain. When we engage those 3 parts, think of just to put it in a more layman's term of the Chinese proverb, if you tell me, I forget. If you show me, I remember. If you involve me, I understand. And we need to get to the understanding level. So with Universal Design for Learning, that's the framework that we're using to plan, not only for our students, but I am using it to plan for our adults. So I have to consider the variability of our adult learners as well. In the 3 principles, we want to plan. First of all, we want to plan for the margins. What are the supports and the scaffolds that the kids need? What are the barriers that I anticipate? How can I get rid of those barriers? Universal design embraces technology, other ways of representing. So there are 3 principles: affective, recognition network, and the strategic network, which is the engagement part of learning. All the different ways of representing concepts. We were formerly traditional. It was like, oh, here's the standard algorithm. It's cliche, and I'll say it, but just invert and multiply. Don't ask why. Just learn the rule, and that's not going to help create learners who are expert learners, which is one of the beliefs and expectations of UDL, is teaching our kids how to learn. To think about their thinking. And then the strategic network is about the action and expression. There's not one way to assess if our students have learned what we want them to learn. And so action and expression may come in different ways, not just a traditional multiple choice test, although those have its place, you know, open response and essay. But there are other ways to assess students that are giving them voice and choice in how they learn and empowering them to think about what scaffolds or tools help me learn best. So yeah, we still have our assessments that are traditional, but we also want to broaden them to be more performance-based tasks with rubrics, so kids know these are the expectations, these are our goals, and you're going to show me how you know it. I'm going to say use whatever means necessary in some cases, but we want to give kids choices. Could they do a podcast? Could they do a video? Could they build something? Could they draw something? Just giving those opportunities of showing their learning in more than one way. Because we know we all need to get to the same goal. We all have the same high expectations, but there's not one path to get there. The end result is the same, but getting there is not. So we are making those adjustments in our instruction. I see it coming, it's alive in Westford in other forums, but we're trying to make it a more cohesive plan so folks understand what the expectations are for planning and instruction to strengthen tier 1, which is general inclusive classroom instruction.
Ellie,
Yes.
just a second. It's really impressive. You're talking about embracing different backgrounds, but also embracing the learning styles. I wish, this might be resonate with everybody on the room. I wish there were different ways when I was in high school.
Yes.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly I don't think any of us regret the more traditional approach, but I really appreciate what you're saying. Let me just ask you folks some questions, so, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I have a question for my audience.
I said a lot.
Okay, that's it.
So yeah, I'm a high schooler currently at WestfordCAT, and over like the past couple of years, I obviously in like 2020 or 2021, I forget, there was that incident with like the basketball game, and the racist like taunts that were at the opposing team, right? So like, how do you think, like, especially in like the high school setting, right, where like people are more aware of their identity rather than like in the elementary middle school settings, like how do you think your work has like changed their attitudes?
Well, that's a great question. I hope that you are patient with me because this work is not easy and it's not going to change overnight. I know that a lot of work has been done to kind of deal with that issue. I was not here at that time, so as far as I know, it was handled as appropriately as possible given the circumstances. I will say that moving forward, the work is about also, my work is about enhancing and amplifying the curriculum in a way that we are tackling those uncomfortable conversations about race, about identity in the classroom. Can you repeat your question again? Because I may have gone off tangent. What?
Yeah, sure. So like what I was just asking is like, how will your work like impact like high school students and their mentalities and like change it in a way that basketball game like isn't as like accepted as it was in that moment?
That's a great question. I think it is a complex issue. What I will do is I work directly with the curriculum coordinators at the high school level. I supervise them. What we've done is try to open up the curriculum in a sense of providing alternative ways to have these difficult discussions in classrooms. My job is to get more diverse instruction and materials and alternate ways that value assets, that we view our students as assets, what they bring to the table, not as a deficit model. what I think is more influential for your question is my impact more on the adults. Because at the high school level, you know, the kids there have gone through the system. My influence there would be educating the leaders there on universal design for learning, on engagement. How do we change the engagement at the high school? Not just, you know, to talk about those difficult topics, but engagement in all aspects of schooling. You know, part of the work is also educating the leaders on, you know, the 7 forms of bias, about how do we judge what literature we put in front of kids. You know, are we putting literature in front of kids that we've screened using the 7 forms of bias? For example, is it a one-sided story? Is it perpetuating a stereotype? Is it you know, telling a story through rose-colored glasses, like everything's hunky-dory, but we're not telling all sides of the story? In that sense, I think I have a way of getting in through the curriculum. At the higher end too, we do have Panorama. You may have experienced those surveys at the high school level. We start them in grade 3 with the kids doing their answering on the computer, but the K-2 kids, the teacher filled out a survey for each child, what their perception or impressions are of that child. And so that's where the work really begins, is with the littles, and not to say that we're excluding, you know, the upper echelon of the education system, but right now our greatest influence is there. So the social emotional data from Panorama can also help to support flagging students, you know, with the surveys of who needs to be checked in with, especially at the high school, middle school level. So your concern is, you know, these students are behaving in this way and they're, you know, they're making these racist comments. Well, what were the signs before that, you know, may have been overlooked or not addressed, right? So this is our 3rd year using Panorama. So again, it is, you know, an online assessment system for social emotional well-being. I wonder if, you know, if the students who behave that way, what was their Panorama data? Was there something that we missed? Because if we are doing the surveys and then doing check-ins, I know that that's part of the process that we want to grow, is increasing the amount of teachers that are doing check-ins with the kids. Because in the morning you can say, hey, how are you feeling today? Here's the scale, pick 1 through 4 or something. Or and then you get a sense of your class in the morning, you know, who woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or who had a really tough morning. So that data actually flags kids for the teachers and for the guidance counselors and for the administrators of who they need to check in and pull in and have a deeper conversation. So my support for that system is to keep sustaining it. This is our 3rd year. We do look at the data. We have a calendar that's rolling out the surveys. And so that's my question. I wonder if those kids who behave that way, I don't know, were they from our school or were they from the opposing school? That I don't know. I wasn't here for that, but that's the purpose of those surveys. Mm-hmm.
They were
Yeah,
they were senior boys, yeah.
But it
Well,
sounds like that there's an approach to it. Heine has a question.
Yeah, I am trying to find the button to click the rest of that. I'm so used to that.
Feel free to raise your hand.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I want to comment on what the question you have. So to me, is overlays for the long-term and short-term solutions, not solutions, long-term, short-term reviews for your questions. So do you think that's kind of like you still can change the high school kids' mind?
I think it definitely like starts at a younger age, like you
Yes.
said. I think there is also like steps you can take at the high school level
Mhm.
to like, they already have like an ingrained sense of identity by then, right? So, but like, there is like certain things you can do to encourage like diversity in the classroom. right?
Well,
Um,
Dirk, so that comes out of the UDL framework for universal design for learning. And the more that we start to think about those barriers or accepting the variability and seeing variability, people's differences in the way they learn or how mobile they are. Our job as teachers is to create ramps to the objective and to give them the scaffolds and supports. So if I'm sorry, I'm just lost my train of thought because someone was saying bye to me. It comes with the instructions. So if as a teacher, I'm thinking of my learners and planning, and I know that I have students who are, trying to figure out their identity or come from a more modern family setup, I want to make sure that I first learn about my students' background. Students have a lot of funds of knowledge that we can use to engage students. So I want to know their story. I want to know what their interests are, what's relevant to them. I want to engage their family to also tell me what your dreams are for your kid. As a teacher, it's important for us to know our students' stories, because the minute we know their stories, we can anchor new learning to their background knowledge. If they do not have that background knowledge, then it is my job to embed that background knowledge so that they can engage with the curriculum.
Jump in for a second. I just want to, Cynthia, you want to say hello to the gang? This is the first time I think we've all been.
Sorry, I'm late. Just got out of work.
Yeah, so, Cynthia.
So, I have a question.
Yeah.
You said it was accepted, that behavior at the basketball game. My granddaughter will graduate with you. They were jerks, so she did not, I guess, from what I felt with the kids I were around, they did not accept their behavior.
What I mean by accepted, I meant like in that moment, right? Like, it wasn't like,
The kids around.
It was not
them.
addressed. Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah, it was not addressed in that moment. Yeah, nothing
But it
was done.
was, I mean, another child went right to the principal, another Westford Academy student went right to the dean.
I think
say, right?
the fact that like they had like, they thought that that was okay to say,
Yeah,
I think that's
okay.
like,
Yeah,
that's what I
I
meant.
Okay.
Essentially, so yeah, I think of course, like, I don't think people like thought it was like okay, like generally in like the population of Western Academy, right? But like, the fact that they thought like they could have gone away with it, like, shows that there wasn't like enough like structure to like our like DEI messaging there.
I'll tell you what, the next day at school, nobody addressed it also.
Yeah, I think that
That
was
was
the
the-
problem.
that
They
was the
would
biggest
just
problem.
kind of quietly address those two boys and not address the
I think
elephant
they
in the room.
understand in the moment, they want to make sure
Right.
it's different, you don't
I
know what's
agree.
happening.
Yeah.
It's,
And everybody had heard about it by then.
then, so the
it
next
was-
day morning when the
yeah.
kids came, well, they should have done something, I think
Right.
that is something that she
Yeah, it was
addressed here,
very,
right?
very
The leaders
delayed.
need to take
Right.
action upon what needs to be done.
Let me make a quick program note, just to remind everybody that this is being recorded. One of our participants wanted to know who was here, so I'll do a quick list. Joe Diamond, Angela Rajput, Sylvia King, Kathy Creed, Mary Claire O'Neill, Megan Patil, Patricia Lucci, Scott Harkness, Nancy Cook, and McKenzie, sorry, Madonna McKenzie, Seema,
Hussain.
and Wendy Boyd. Clear is here. Sorry, go ahead. How much time do you have, Magali? Few more minutes? Oh, you're on mute. It's all right.
Oh, Magali, you're on
Yeah,
mute,
you.
Magali.
Yeah. you're still
Oh,
on.
oh, because I was trying to be respectful. Yes, thank you. So
Okay.
you had asked about the integration of DEI in the curriculum, so I can give you a few examples of that. We're getting an increasing population of multilingual learners in Westford Public Schools, who bring a great richness and diversity and perspective to us that otherwise we wouldn't have. And so through some of the Title III ESL funding, and we are grateful that the town also provided us with some funding for curriculum. Last year, we were able to purchase diverse literature for our students in K through 12. So one of the things that we purchased is this great book break activity with authors that are real authors, that are the books that our kids are reading. From the author who did The Dot to Front Desk, I think is Kate Camillo, and other diverse authors that will do a live book talk with our kids. And they do 2 a month. They record it afterwards, so teachers can sign up. It's paid for. And they sign up. There are pre-lesson activities for that. Then they watch the live video. I was in a classroom actually a couple of weeks ago enjoying the first book break. And then the kids, get to interact and ask questions of the author, and get really excited about seeing people that look like them, sound like them, are people that they read, that they're seeing now live. And so that's running this year through the Title III grants. Through that, I was also able to get Scholastic Rising Voices series, K through 5. And what is neat about that series is that they also solicited really diverse authors and illustrators to be part of the series. And the purpose is to represent diverse protagonists. Sometimes we have diverse, peripheral characters that don't really have a strong role. But these protagonists are Black boys, Latino boys, girls in STEM. And so that's another opportunity for our students to see themselves in the curriculum. It's through the ESL side, but we share our resources, and so the ESL teachers have been encouraged to also share those resources with their students going back into the inclusive classrooms. UDL is always on the forefront. It's tied to our district support plan, district improvement plan, excuse me. We will continue to support the Holocaust Education Month with, resources. Last year I gathered resources, and the teachers are wonderful at sharing their resources too. So we'll keep that alive and sustaining that. A lot, as well as the Neurodiversity Awareness Month. We will do that as well. Right now, the high school and middle school, they're going to continue with their focus on universal design for learning, which in itself is designed for equity in the classroom. The teachers, the coordinators with the teachers will continue to work on performance-based assessments or performance-based tasks, with rubrics, with other ways that students can use their strengths to show what they've learned from the curriculum. And like I said earlier, yes, there is a place for MCAS. Yes, there is a place for a midterm. There's a place for multiple choice, but there's also place for a broader sense of formative assessments where, kids can really use their assets to shine and to show what they've learned. I've had kids write poems in math, like any way to show me that the concept. I say, if you can tie it to the standards and you can justify it with the standards, then by any means necessary, we will find a way.
Magali, we could.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? You can hear me now, yes? Okay, I do that often because I have a big ego, I do myself twice. And we could talk with you, I'm sure, all night. I think we have time for maybe one more question. Donna, you had a question.
Yes, when I was at your meeting the other day, you brought up the question about equity. I wrote that down because I thought that was something that our group really did need to talk about here and then talk with you about. Because it was something that I didn't feel was probably the same with everybody. And
Yeah. Mhm.
They say things, so.
Thank you for remembering that. I was gonna say, Catherine, you've been quiet. You haven't enhanced my sharing, so I missed that. So the question is, yes, that is a question that we worked on last year that was raised by our consultant. We did 18 hours of work with Mirko Chardin, the author of Equity by Design, talking about UDL. And that was a question that he raised with us is, how do we define equity? How do we define engagement? What you think is engagement or equity may not be the same thing. And so if we're going to work on this stuff together as a town and a school district, how do we calibrate or have a stable definition of what we mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion when we talk about it? If we don't have a common definition, then we're not going to get the results that we want. And so thank you for raising that. It's an important question. We need to define what that is, equity. It's not equality. We're past equality. Now we're looking for equity.
We can work on together.
That's an important question. And with the DEI school level is like, we have a mission and vision statement for our DEI school-based committee? Does the town? Are they making sense in support of each other, not in contradiction of each other? So that's important, is for us to have that concept stabilization of saying, this is what we mean in Westford when we talk about equity. I think that could get us a long way.
Yeah, that's really important. It's something we can work on.
Yep. Very quick comments. You mentioned the word engagement. I am thinking that's why it's very important. Engagement with the schools, engagement with the students, and engagement with communities, which our DIs can provide that support for you.
That's another question. And the leaders and I will be exploring engagement this year. It is one of the principles of Universal Design for Learning. It's like, why should I learn this? Why is this relevant? Engagement is another term that we throw out there, but everybody has a different definition or observation of what engagement sounds like and looks like. You all look engaged right now, you're here, but you might be multitasking and doing a couple of things while you're in this meeting. And so, what I think is engagement in my classroom may be different from someone else. And if we're going to judge, if we're going to make judgments about instruction or about, how engaged our kids are, we know the kids in Westford know how to do school. They are compliant. They are ritually compliant. Some are strategically compliant, which are levels of engagement. But how do we get to true engagement? That's a question that we need to get to the bottom of too, as well. And that's part of our work this year, is unpacking engagement as leaders and administrators so that when we go in, we're all talking the same thing. Engagement in Westford for us looks like, sounds like, feels like in the classroom like this. It doesn't look like rows. There's a place for that, but it's not the traditional classroom that we have come out of. So,
Kelly, why don't we leave it at that, and let you get back to your family?
thank you. It was a
Long
pleasure,
day.
always.
You may have just gotten home, so we really appreciate it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the DEI school committee session, following up of common understanding of equity and engagement. So all to say, there will be more engagement with you. And perhaps you can join us again. I know that you'll be joining us for the podcast. So we thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks. Well, we're now at the 7:35 items, which are summaries, sort of a review of where we are with certain of our activities. It occurred to me, actually with the help of a few of you, that what we were doing with these activities, they were sort of falling under a couple of broad headings, and that's why we worded this way. Celebrating Westford's diversity, which I know is important to us, and I think is an unspoken, but it's really now sort of a spoken strategic direction for us. And then we also often talk about working with the school committee and other committees. So I think integrating across the town, DEI, schools, commissions, etc. I think it also. So those are the two broad strategic directions. And I think it's important to keep them sort of obvious. Also, I think that it would be good for us to not only work on enrollment, efficient equity and engagement, but also to think about, from our perspective, that this doesn't have to come right away. What we see as our mission, certainly building on the charge, but also what we see as our vision for Westford. I think that's all informed by what we do. You know, often you don't start in those places. Often if you do some things, then you bring it that helps you. So all to say, why don't we start with celebrating Westford's diversity and just review where we are with certain activities. We've got the multicultural calendar. My apologies, I didn't send out the chart that I was sent out last night. That we can ask people, it's in your packet, but I also sent it out. And it really is just an opportunity. It might not be the best format to list a cultural event, holiday, whatever, that you could offer, and that we might include in multicultural calendar. And we'll list the data, its significance, and that sort of. So it's a start, and we know that there's several people who want to work on this. I think I see Wendy, Cynthia, Angeline, and Pat. Sorry, wrong cultural.
I think Andrea had also signed up while we were closing the meeting, and I think we may not have written her name as well. She said that she would like to lead and she would like to contribute in that initiative. Keeping that in mind, I'm going to schedule some time with everyone for next Tuesday. So that we can get started. I've spent some time on studying Lexington's calendar. There's a lot out there in different modes. There is cultural event, there are events in Lexington town to celebrate diversity. So there are various channels. It's an overload of information and we want to probably keep it, start simple, start small, and then build it from there.
Thanks, Anjali. I actually read the wrong list. Andrea, Madonna, Megna, Anka, Wendy, and Kathy. We're in the minutes. So that sounds good. So you're setting something up for Tuesday?
I will, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the block party. How can we help you?
So the block party is not at the Franco, it's at the 4-H grounds. And it is on the 22nd of October.
There's 2 weeks.
Yeah. And we can use volunteers to help us coordinate the event that day.
22nd of
The
October?
22nd, it's Sunday. Yeah. We are looking for more, not entertainment, but more diversity where we do not have, and last year we had Indian dance troupe. We do not have one this year. So if anybody knows somebody that would be interested, we now have our Chinese Bible.
Yeah, I'll be there.
That was. We
I got
have,
two groups to come.
That's excellent. We
Nancy,
have-
I have reached out to a small group that is based in Acton, and they do dance practices, the classical dance group. They still practice in Westford. I've asked them for little girls to perform. It has not gone to a point where I have received a confirmation, but I've started to talk and discuss about that.
We're filling in the schedule from 12:30 to 3 o'clock with 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever they need. We have.
I'm
the
gonna
fo-
I'm gonna have them contact you directly. So let me connect you and share the contacts tonight.
That would be fine. We have Kamara is coming, we have a Mexican food, we have an Indian market from Acton that is coming again. Chinese, we have the Italian down at the corner, Aviva is coming. We did lose our Scottish table this year. So if anybody has any connections, we would love that. If you can think of anything, any
Technically, I'm Irish.
cultural
Yeah, my daughter
costumes.
was Scottish.
We have an American Indian from setting up and doing a little demonstration. If anyone can think of anybody that would like to participate or set up a table with information about any part of what makes our town the wonderful, diverse place that it is. At the 4-H grounds, we're blessed with 1 million tables and lots of space. And if it rains, we have plenty of inside place there, so it's great. We were really strangled at the Franco, so this I think is gonna be good. I mean, we had a good time last year. It was 4 hours. By the time we got it set up, it was time to take it down. We had some laughs and met some new friends, so. I mean, that to me is what Westford's always been about. I've said it before, when I was little, we were English, the next door people were first generation Russian, the next ones were Polish, then it was Irish. Everybody, I mean, the nationalities have changed, but the concept is the same. We all need to work together and explore we'd love to find a Russian person that could make those sweet old pastries, but it was a great place to grow up, and we can do that again. We have an LGBTQ. I know I forgot one letter. I can't remember what it is. Wendy, I'm sorry. Table being set up. We're trying to embrace all that we are. So if you can help us come up with someone, we're noon to 4, rain or shine at the 4-H grounds. Just let me know so we have space.
Do you want folks to help set up? Would that be good?
Yes, that would be marvelous.
And people should arrive at.
We're gonna go about 10:30.
10:30,
Yeah,
okay.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, quick question for Anjali. How far away your calendar going to be, like all the way to next year or just anything? Because I have something coming up next January, February, the Asian Spring Festival. That's a big one.
Yeah, it does make sense for us to build it at least 6 to 9 months ahead, right? Otherwise, nobody's gonna really figure out what's gonna happen. So most likely until next summer when we are building it, and then it will be it will need some work to continuously update what's going on in the next 6 months. So it will require probably monthly visit and updating it. And someone, maybe 1 or 2 people can own it. It's a work in progress, I think.
Yeah,
We
sounds
haven't
great.
even started there. We haven't even made the decisions, what we really want to do. So that the group has to come together and make some decisions.
Thank you.
Just more question for Nancy. Do you want to show the shirt?
Oh, yes. So today, with Wendy's help, we developed T-shirts and we're going to sell these to for $15. We will have a few sweatshirts too. And it is, diversity is beautiful. So it's what makes us. Thanks for putting that up. Wendy, thanks for making these so much better.
Those are very nice.
I think they'll be great. They're $15, is getting them in every size. So if anybody wants them, just hit me up and I'll make sure you get yours.
You have them at the Block Party?
We're going to have them on the table. Yeah.
Awesome.
So if
Does
anyone
it
wants
make
the man
sense for the
tables
people of the committee
to wear
to
them,
wear?
I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so. Yep.
Oh, okay.
We'll have
Are
them.
we doing this like as a fundraiser?
So
Is it, proceeds going somewhere?
Westford remembers.
Okay.
So, it's, Westford Remembers, I don't know what many of you know, and we've helped about $112,000 so far this year in Westford residents. That's just a little side ad, but it's a 501c3 and we need every dime we can get because every day there's another request for help. So yes, there'll be $5 on each shirt that will go to Westford Remembers. We are who are putting on but I think they're cool. I think they have a good message and hopefully it'll take off.
Are you gonna have kid sizes?
Yes.
You can almost sell the kids for 15 and adults for 20.
Yeah, we could. We could. I always try to just make a little bit and so hope they'll sell, but
Yeah.
yes, that's a good idea.
So we can pick ours up maybe there.
Yep.
So it can be
Or I
bought
can get them
out.
before. Gary is making them now. Hopefully I'll have them next week. My porch is my drop off, pick off. I'll be glad to leave my table out there with them on there.
You could jump onto my email too, anybody else know.
Okay.
If you have a flyer, we could actually post it on our section of the website. Regarding this event.
Wendy, can you make a flyer with these for sale
But also about the event itself.
and at the event? Yes. Can you make it?
You have a flyer.
I'm sorry, I can't see what you're showing.
That's the event flyer that you made. Can you make a flyer advertising the t-shirts?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
And Wendy, can you use the event flyer in a PDF that we'll post at the DEI section of the Westford website, just to help
That would be
participation and spreading the word.
Have you guys thought of selling like the holiday bazaar at Westford Academy?
You know, I didn't. We did it for a while for Westford alumni, but I haven't been back in a long time. Who's in charge of it this year?
I'm pretty sure one of my entrepreneurship teachers, Mrs. Musto.
Oh,
she did
Tina,
her-
yeah,
I think so.
I'll ask her. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
the holiday bazaar.
I think it's December 3rd.
Yeah,
Usually
somewhere.
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, we could go there.
Yeah,
And are you gonna try to get it publicized in some local
This-
papers? Just the.
This is on
event.
WestfordCAT. It's going to be in the Friends magazine Westford Friends that comes out. But other than that, the little son is so ungodly expensive and we have no local.
You could get, you could try to get a reporter to cover it.
Do you know what?
I do. I
Okay,
could
would you-
reach out to her. Yeah.
The other thing you could do, is look at getting us in the school principals.
Newsletter, yeah.
That goes out weekly.
That might be.
And also Kristen Loss does the town.
Kristen's putting it
managers.
in her newsletter.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what
and that
it's-
SASA, is that the group?
Sasa, yeah.
Sasa.
Those are-
They
yeah.
have a table there.
Yeah.
They were amazing last year, so. They are participating.
One last question, is there a program per se, or it's really?
No,
conceptually to,
no, we need to put that on the list of things to do, Wendy.
oh, I don't mean to,
We have a
Give you more to do.
program of schedule of what time the dances are and that, but so far we've not finished. We're still filling that in. We're waiting for the bagpipes and the step dancers and somebody else to tell us what time, so. It's a work in progress from 9 working people trying to get it all pulled together, but. So yeah, we would love anyone that wants to help that day, have an hour, have 4 hours, we'd love to have you. It's
the folks who volunteered last time, this is the first list I read, Nancy, Wendy, Cynthia, Joe, Angela. Like that, so, maybe you can send, this isn't a minute, maybe you can send us something too. At the very least, help us out.
That would be marvelous. Yeah, that would be marvelous. And pick up.
And pick up.
There's never anyone to
Lot of
pick up. We're all, thank you.
People take off, right?
That's it.
So October 22nd, get there at 10 to help.
That would be great. That would be great.
Any other questions about this? Thank you.
So glad you came tonight, honey.
I think Patricia has her hand up.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Hi, go right ahead.
Hi, did you want me to do the poster again?
Please.
Table, yep. And I don't know if, I thought maybe we could put something on the table for the Disability Commission as well and include that.
That would be great.
Okay.
you have some material on that, Pat?
Yeah, I'm gonna find some. I have some in my files, so I'll dig that up.
We thought next year we'd try and send an invitation to all the groups and committees that, the different ones in town and that, and
Yeah.
see, if we could just showcase Westford.
It's a great idea.
So that's the plan for next year.
Sorry, everybody, I do have a hard stop tonight, so.
Yeah, we'd be responsible for the.
You are, I trust you entirely,
Okay.
Joe.
All right,
Just be gentle, the box is there.
very good. We'll handle it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'll join in and listen online, but I've got to get kiddos to bed.
Catherine made the technology happen, so thank you.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, so let's continue on under this topic or this section. The three of us, Joanne, Dur, Pat, Patricia, and I did a podcast. We were gonna actually do a podcast with Magali. She was unavailable. In fact, she was unavailable because she was at the meeting, the school meeting, and the folks from this committee, which is actually probably better if that takes place before she joined us here or joined us on the podcast. So we pivoted and we decided to make it a podcast that was called Get to Know Your DEI Community. And so it's actually, I think it's being posted tomorrow. And it was a three-way conversation about the role of the committee and who we are, our motivation, why we joined the committee, what some of our ideas are related to where we want to go, our vision for Westford. And we want to repeat that with sort of rotating hosts. Ashley will host the next one. And have conversations about that, maybe every other podcast. Doesn't be that frequent. But then we'll have other guests as well. So that's how we did it. The other volunteers were Ellie and Mary Claire. You still interested in participating in the podcast, please?
Yeah, at some point.
Okay, at some point.
You can put the last.
All right, well, we can see if you want to be part of the group that talked about themselves, or you can host. But it was fun, and they do a really good job. They actually filmed it. But the video didn't work out so well because it was the voices weren't syncing up with the video, which is probably a good thing. You know, when you see the film of a podcast, if you've seen the film of a podcast, sometimes, you know, famous people will sit and talk to each other in a podcast studio and they film it. I don't know what the appeal is for that, but they suggested that we did that. So we did, but technically it didn't work out. So now the SAC, which you traditionally think about as a podcast, is what we're gonna have. So we're thrilled, and WestfordCAT folks did a great job. And so now we want to try to do this once.
I gotta watch it.
You're gonna watch it. Yeah, it didn't post the video. It didn't render. So now it's just so that's where we are. If you have ideas about what we could do, but in addition to get to know your DEI members, and you know, we would, as a matter of fact, let me know now or later if that's something that you'd be interested in doing, that participating in conversation where you get an opportunity to talk about some of those topics. You know, pretty relaxed. So anybody want to do that? Did you say you want?
Yeah, I was.
He's going to do the police chief.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me know now or later. I might reach out, but I think it would be great to have some folks talk about, you know, why we're here and in addition.
What platform is it on? And how do people listen?
Great question.
It's at the CAT website.
What?
WestfordCAT
website.
WestfordCAT?
And then we'll post it at the DEI section of the Westford website. And it's on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel. It's on
The town manager could put it as a link on her monthly newsletter.
Right.
You can upload it to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure if you guys heard of it, but that's like the two like that's like the two main like resources like people use to listen to podcasts. I think so.
We'll check with them on that. We'll
Yeah.
make sure that everybody knows where it is. So again, just part of what we're doing in terms of celebrating diversity, so that's the theme, and keep that in mind as we develop different topics. Let folks know about information that I received from the Cameron Senior Center. I just want to read you the note that came, we're trying to see the other day. I think I saw it yesterday, but it came to me before yesterday. This is from Jennifer Beal. She said, we are charged with planning this small focus group, looking for individuals from the Chinese American or South Asian community to participate in the focus group. If there's someone in the DEI committee from these ethnic/cultural backgrounds or people who can provide connections to other community members, we'd appreciate it. They're engaging in a strategic planning process, creating a multi-year strategic plan. And a key component is outreach to and support of our Chinese American and Asian, South Asian senior communities. So they want to do focus groups, particularly with representatives from those communities. I suggested perhaps representatives from this committee or from other town departments. I think right now.
So we do, I'm on the strategic committee, and
Oh, great.
and we are also looking, she asked today about a translator from the Indian population that could help at the senior center. So if anybody has any idea who, we have a gentleman who will help with Chinese translations, but we're around.
What language translation?
You know, I'm not sure, and I know there's a million dialects, so that's.
Well, no, they're
right?
not dialects, they are very
They're
distinctive
very
separate
distinct.
languages,
And
they're not dialects.
I
I was,
don't, but I will get you
Yeah,
that.
I was approached by this books group
Yes.
from indirect contact.
Yep.
So we were asking for the translators as well.
Because if it's
Because
Hindi, I
we
can do
do
it.
the,
Okay.
yeah, we do the interviews. It's easier to do from the online meeting and also providing the translators for the senior citizens.
Sweet.
So you'll help out in that way, is it?
Oh, so they're already in the process. I think they're already in the process. I wasn't directly involved. I was approached to ask them to be, they asked me questions.
Because we're also.
So,
looking
yes,
at
yes,
housing authority
suggestions.
for- So we're also. looking
I don't know
for
what level of
translators.
translation you're
Yes.
looking for, there are a couple of other languages I can do as well, but it
Perfect.
depends on what
Thank you,
level,
Seema.
what level of translation
Thank
you're
you.
looking for.
Siba, how many languages can you speak?
Well, at least three, about four languages, but yeah, so,
Thank you.
but
I'll
yeah,
pass
so
your name along to.
yeah,
To her.
I'm
Thank you.
happy to have, with Hindi
Perfect.
definitely doesn't.
Perfect.
And so
I
did you have
think what
something?
we can do is we can probably take away a little bit like an intake meeting, what exactly their need is, and then I could also reach out to a mom's group where their kids went to WA and many moms speak different languages, and see if anyone who would like to contribute and also have capacity to do it in their daily schedule. So we could figure that out as a team together. In the meantime, Pat had a question and then she raised her hand. So Pat, we want to give the opportunity to Pat to ask the question.
Yes,
Thank
I have a friend who's gonna volunteer, and that's with Mandarin Chinese, so we have one. Allison has taken all the information at the senior center.
Yeah, that'd be good to know like what exactly they're looking for, how many,
Get
what
you that.
languages.
I
and
will
what-
get that.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed what they're translating.
If they're-
They want to invite them into our senior center and want to be able to communicate. So the front desk can't.
So
communicate.
it's people that are gonna be approaching the
Right.
senior center
Right,
that speak other languages.
Right.
and-
right.
But then you need that, maybe I should.
No,
join the
you're right,
committee.
you're right. There we go. That would be good.
Yeah.
But they need somebody at front desk, I think they're completely separate.
Exactly.
Exactly.
They need
Exactly.
somebody there from like
Right.
3-4 hours.
Right.
Correct. Somebody who can speak the language and then.
And we need to get the population in.
Oh, that's
because
another
there's-
thing.
There's a distinct, that, you know, we can't relate, we can't communicate, so they don't come through the door. And the strategic plan is to embrace all of the diverse population we have, so we need to make it welcoming, we need to be able to speak, we need to be able to communicate. So yes, if you'd like to volunteer, we can use you.
I don't think I can come for 3 to 4 hours, definitely, but I want to be part of strategic. The reason, the one question I had, sorry, I'm not trying to stop. So is the senior center not much familiar with
Yeah.
that? So is that like a day 9 to 5 job, like some, like what I'm asking, so the South Asian, right, a lot of parents come from India. Who come in and they're bored.
Yeah.
They're really bored, right?
So we
Because the
have-
parents are all working.
Give me your email and I'll send you their schedule. And we have programs that go from 9 to 4 every day. We have several nights a week that we have programs, everything from bingo to line dancing to stretching
I think
to.
that's what, I think that'd be very
Yeah,
interesting. That's when you can get.
Every
people
single
in.
thing we have full-time, we have a very, very full calendar. So there is almost nothing that you could look for that there isn't there, from cards to billiards to ping pong to, we have everything. I absolutely can. I have yours. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Me as well, thank you.
No. We don't need. you.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to actually move on to the agenda to the next items because we are very close to 8:15. I think we will take the action. Nancy, you're going to share the contacts with SEMA or maybe whatever their ask is. And then as a team, DEI team, we can figure it out, how we can leverage anyone in the community to fill those spots or provide any help.
Nancy, you'll connect also with the Cameron Senior Center? Did you say you were gonna do that? Angela?
Was it? No. I said Nancy could provide the name. We could connect directly as well. It's okay, but we just need the name of the person to understand what they are looking for and then go back to the community. What I was saying is we can go back to the community that we are connected with to find resources who could be helpful. That's what I meant.
Thank you, Anjali.
Okay. Why don't we move on? I just have a note here for any other ideas. There's a lot that we're doing under this topic, under this strategic direction of celebrating Westford's diversity. Anything else that you want to put on the table, which we would probably take up in another meeting? We are getting close to 8:30. Why don't we move on to integrating DEI across town committees, boards, and departments? I just wanted to note that that was actually September 8th. That the strategic planning meeting in Kimball Farm sounds like it was a success. I wasn't able to go. I was up with my dad with a medical issue. I know that we were represented. I wanted to thank everybody who was there. Who was there? Who went to the prayer? Did we have some visitors at our table? Or was it?
I wasn't, I got there late, so I was only able to go to the meeting, so I wasn't able.
I never found your table.
It's found at the end, like there towards the very end of it on the left. There was a.
I was down at the other end, so
Oh, last year we had a really good spot. though.
Yes.
Last year. I was
Last year,
watching.
only the
Yeah,
people who knows us come to us. So I think we should put a dancing team there so the people could come.
Did you get any traffic, Mary Claire? When you're at the table?
Some,
Yeah.
not a ton, but some.
Yeah, we did get some, yeah. But I combined it with disability as well on that table.
We didn't have any free giveaways either to attract anyone. So let's put it that way, right? People go to the desk or the tables that has some stuff, big boards or billboards, and then something to attract them, anything colorful. And then on top of it, there has to be something to really entice them. So maybe a better job next year. We're just learning, I think, as a committee as well, right?
Oh, free food, right? We had a flyer, but we didn't have giveaways. So I think that's a really good one.
Free food, yes.
All right.
Yeah,
So
and handout.
It last year was discarded.
Well, there was I think Pat brought a poster, but there was a tablecloth, I think, or social.
No, I mean, there was a huge big one that was.
We lost that.
We lost that?
Yeah, we
Oh,
lost
dear.
that.
Yeah, Tammy said she'd make another one, but she
Okay.
didn't have time that night.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. Well, it's all part of it, I think. I think it's all part of our
Yeah, that's
raising
fine.
awareness. Thank you, everybody who participated in that. Why don't we talk about the school DEI committee meeting? Which just happened.
Well, I was there and,
But it was very interesting. They talked a lot, that they're going to include students on that committee, but there were no students there at the time. And they have parents from different groups. And they had somebody from each of the schools there, and they're approaching it because the schools are all different age levels. So they have to approach each of the age levels in a different way. And she didn't exactly outline that, but that's what they're doing. They're approaching them as a little different at every age level. But they're working very hard at trying to get something for every class and everybody there. So it's a learning process too. And they're beginning they want to have some students on their committee as well. And I think that's a very good idea, because it's been my experience in the past and current that the students who are on the school committee, are very, very helpful and very informative. And I think that that's something that should go on, but it should happen in more of the committees in the town as well. And it's one thing that I'd like to see we have more students as well. And, but they also talked about the fact that, and she mentioned it tonight, that the equity is something that they want to understand how we see equity, because they want it to be something that's uniform across the town. And I came back with that as sort of a question, because I'm not sure that we all think of equity as the same thing. And so it's something we probably should work on so that we can come up with a definition as close as we can get it, that's as broad as we can get. That is what we think that equity is, and we should ask the Board of Selectmen to do the same thing. Because it's very important that the board, the select board, the DEI committee, and then the committees from the schools all are on the same page. And I'm sure there are other groups that should be too, but those are the ones I currently am thinking about.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I agree with you completely, and I think that not only should they be general and as broad as possible, but as specific as possible too. I think having specific examples is sometimes better than having a broad example. That's my first thing.
I think you're right.
In terms of the definition of equity.
Yes. I mean, talking about a specific example of what's equity between two second grade schools, or, two second grade classes, or high school classes, or, what's equity in sports, what's equity in,
and I think that part of what they were talking about is children's abilities. What the different abilities are and how you have to find equity for all different abilities. Because we do have a wide range of abilities.
Yeah, I think Magali addressed that when she was talking about how to, do UDL kind of bringing that in, saying accounting for all the different kinds of learners that are there.
I think we should approach it. Should we ask folks to volunteer to?
I don't
bring
really
a
have an
definition?
approach for it, because I think it's something that it's hard for any one individual to say what they think equity is. But yet, because I'm not sure that I understand what I think of as equity. And that for me is, I don't want to say this is what it is if I'm not sure that I actually understand what I feel is equity.
So I was just wondering if this is an exercise that is already being done, whether we want to duplicate it here, because if the school district or
They haven't come to the final conclusion.
Right, but are they working on it?
They're working on theirs, but what we would be working, but it may not be the same.
No, I know, they would be doing it, which, what makes sense for the school district. I understand that, but what I'm saying is that if they're doing that, do we want to wait for them to have a definition?
Well, I think they're kind of waiting for us to have it.
Okay.
And I think that probably having the selection have an idea about what they believe too, because it should be that all three are coming together. And I'm sure that no matter who comes first and does it, the next one will have something to change or add
Correct,
or
yeah.
ask. And I think that's how we do it.
Correct.
Everybody has to have have it first.
So I
Christian says
think,
that
yeah,
we do
I
it in
think we
sequence.
do it.
We do it in parallel.
So
We do
I
it
think
parallel.
given that you should, given what our original charge was, I believe that the select board will look to us to provide
But
them
something
that.
for them.
So I think we might be the first body that will work on it. So, and
Scott.
then, you know,
Maybe between now
Sometimes-
and our next meeting, we could
All-
all jot down what we think equity is. And we can have that as an agenda item.
Sometimes it's easier to spot equity when you see inequity. Um,
yeah, the absence of it is usually easier to spot.
right.
Yeah, I agree. Use specific events, specific examples. By doing something specific to promote equity. To find the definition is very challenging and everyone's understanding is different. So, but we understand the purpose of the equity. Maybe we can identify how we're going to promote them instead of make the definitions. Say what we could do is not what definition we define. So,
Right, things that we want to cure.
yes, things we want to put in.
This is a tough one. It could be done, we could all sort of fan out and come back with something written down. Or there could be a group of a few of us who would then. And I think there are ways to express it. I think you can look at where you can sort of, when you see it, when you see inequity. It's sometimes hard to describe what it is, what equity is. But I'm wondering if what I'm thinking is that a few people could volunteer and then maybe develop a few things, a definition, examples, that kind of thing, that we would share and then continue to work. Unless you think about it.
I think that's fine.
That makes sense.
That sounds good.
What do folks think?
So if I may ask, so the goal of this is to inform what?
I think, if I'm hearing you correctly,
We just need to have some kind of an idea of what we all believe is equity and everybody agrees to it.
Right.
And that it would cover, if it covers everybody here, then it's probably on the right road. And I think that that's kind of what they're looking for. And I have to think about it for a while.
Yeah,
in
no, we
order
all have to,
really-
yeah.
Yeah,
What I'm trying to, I guess my question, or my confusion really is, are we trying to define all three? Are we focusing only on equity? Because there's diversity, equity, and inclusion.
well, I think that, the thing is, I think.
So I'm not quite sure what our exercise is.
Well,
yet.
the thing is that they really were requesting equity,
Okay,
because I think that when you look at, there's a pretty good definition in,
diversity.
diversity. And we gave that and we've given it many times. It's sort of the law itself. A lot of people worked on that and they came up with it and they did a pretty good job. I don't think we need to change that one. Inclusion, that one's a little more difficult as well. And that might be another topic that we would like to discuss, because I think that that's something that we also probably see in a slightly different way in all kinds of situations. And you have to there are a lot of things that have happened to you in your life, and when you start to think about it, then you saw inclusion not happening in different areas, and it's kind of interesting when you start to approach it that way.
so I'm happy to be part of a group that would put a stake in the ground, get started. I don't think the very first thing we come up with will be the thing that we come up with. But I'm happy to join with a couple of people.
Yeah, I'll join you.
So let me ask you this question. So of course, we have provided the definition of diversity. Inclusion, as Madam Ranju just said, it's a very sensitive topic. It is also relevant to inclusion means different things to different people, but I believe inclusion shouldn't mean different things to different people. And I'm going to give an example. If Anjali, who is me, invited to a party, irrespective of if the party is all of Indians, right? But at the same time, let's say everybody eats meat, but I don't eat a meat, right? And all we have ordered is in the food is all non-vegetarian and nobody actually considered about me, then that means I was not included. Irrespective of how diversity looked like, I was not included. It is just a small example. And then it goes on in what exactly true inclusion is, having open-mindedness, listening to people, giving them the time to speak their mind, right? Contribute their ideas. So inclusion is quite big. I believe that when Joe is proposing to have a work group and come up with an inclusion, that's a wonderful, excuse me, idea. My HR hat is gonna say, I want to sign up, but I will not sign up. I'm gonna stay out of it because I end up signing up for too much. And I do trust the team to come up with some really good definition of what inclusion looks like and some examples as well.
Yes.
Who else
No,
is
but
signing for that?
We were talking about equity.
We're talking about equity.
We're talking about equity,
You said-
Anjali,
You said inclusion.
not inclusion.
Well, we talked
I
about,
thought we were talking about inclusion. We moved on from inclusion.
Okay, because they're all entangled together. You can.
And we're gonna start with equity and then one day.
But
Gotcha.
you gave sort of a real life example, and I
Yes.
think
That's a
that's a good lesson for us when we're talking about equity. There are real life examples,
right.
everyday examples that we can draw on that might work us backward into
Yeah,
definition. So right now I've got Joe Madonna. Heinen, C. Yes.
I was just gonna say, this is like kind of like tangentially related, but 2 years ago, there was actually an Instagram account called Westford Coalition. for
coalition for
Change.
change.
Yeah, and like I know the person who ran it, she went to college. So it kind of like stopped after like a couple of months, but like it was really successful because like the way it worked, basically, it was just like anonymous submissions by Westford Academy students. And like they basically just told their stories about how they were treated differently.
It was great.
Yeah, it was really good. I read all of them.
Yeah, and like they had like blog posts like not blog posts, like Instagram posts like during like weekly, right? It was like how like Black students were like disproportionately like punished more than like white students, right? So like that was like kind of like the examples that they had like, of
Yeah, they were very specific.
of like inequity and stuff like that. So like I could reach out to whoever was managing the account and ask if I could like take over maybe, and like I could run.
Yeah, that would be great. I think
Yeah.
you can do that, and because I always lamented the fact that it didn't go on.
That it ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it ended because
Yeah.
those posts that have been no posts for the last
And-
2 years, so.
and if possible, if we could get some of the, you're talking about.
I have it. I can give
Still,
it to you.
That would be great.
Yeah, that link is still active. It's with me. I can share it with
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I already did share it a while ago, but I'll share it again. A long time ago, like I think a year and a half ago in some other context.
But there's a lot of new members now too.
No,
I think
no,
was-
it's kind of stopped because it.
No, I mean.
No, I think you-
you
Oh,
shared
yeah,
it,
yeah,
we did
yeah,
not get it.
yes. No, I will share it again.
It was back,
Yeah, it was
way
when all
back in
the,
the
yes,
very, yeah,
in the very
in
beginning.
the
Yes,
mess,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when all that stuff was.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. We've got a committee. I'll send out a note. We can get started. And I think maybe what we're doing, if we work it out, is that we'll develop some rhetoric and some definitions, and maybe send those out ahead of the next meeting with that conversation. Try to
So
make it,
will you work it out and then present it to the, okay.
that's, I think that's what I'm doing.
There's a very simple definition if you look it up. And so,
It's a good point.
you know, and I think the simplicity instead of,
Yes.
you know, like I think of like, you know, this says that equity means recognizing that we do not all start from the same place and must acknowledge and make adjustments to imbalances. But I also think of that as, your example of going and everybody, there was all meat at the thing. I was a vegetarian for years. Everybody ate meat. When I went someplace, I always brought something that was vegetarian that everybody could eat, but if I just ate that, I'd be fine. And so I think that we have to have an understanding that there's also, a give and take in the situation that, you need to assimilate to what is, what the conditions are. So, we need that balance in both directions.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what you read is for example, is a great jumping off point for what is going, which you actually are doing. It causes you to think about, context, right? So,
I'm gonna make it more complex. How about if it's a corporate party and nobody's bringing anything but the food is ordered? So, there are gonna be always situations where you don't have a control, right? So corporate party, going outside of the work directly, there's no opportunity for you to cook and bring stuff. I mean, again, I'm making it up, but I'm just bringing all those examples where there can be outliers, right? Where you don't have the control on the situation. So of course you lean in as much as you can.
I've been in those situations and I eat before I go because I know it's not going to be the right food.
But then it is not inclusion. It is not true inclusion in that case. What we are trying to say is that yes, people do try to assimilate, but there is a responsibility on the other people as well to really be involved, right? Be an ally, be inclusive. And I have just posted a link on how to be an ally. There is a book, an article that I'm happy to share with the whole group. You can read it at your own time, but it's a really good read. I found it very interesting and very helpful as well. Coming back to you, Joe, on the topic, are we ready to move on to the next one? Are we still closing this out?
Yeah, if it's actual, I can read it. Okay, I cannot.
I think we're ready
It's
to
too long.
move on. But I think that any definition that we might hear from the school committee or from the select board might come from their particular perspective. So I think this is a really important exercise. I just was curious if you could think of that, what you just read to
Just what?
email, what you just read.
Oh, this,
Yeah.
sure.
Let's move on to the next one and then we can close out in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
The video interview with police chief, Nancy, that's yours as well.
I'll work with you. We'll
Yeah.
plan it for the end of next week, hopefully.
Yeah,
That would be good.
just, you have my number, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So
If it's
that's
a
it.
Friday, Nancy, and if you can give me a little bit of heads up, I can block my time on my calendar because I work from home on Fridays, and I will try not to schedule a meeting around that time and I can step away.
So we're gonna do we have a series of questions that we're going to ask and take.
So I have this one idea and it's related to working with different town committees. Thinking of ourselves as ambassadors, DEI ambassadors. What I was gonna do was bring a list of the town committees, town boards, it's pretty big actually. And ask people to take a look at those and we can identify maybe like the top ones from a DEI perspective. So we're not ready to talk about this, but I just wanted to touch on anything that over time, perhaps each of us say, well, I'd like to connect with the affordable housing, I'd like to connect with the planning board. And we may not even be ready because, what are we connecting with? Is there a definition that we're bringing? Is there a set of guidelines or whatever? But it just struck me that we can play that kind of a role too, and that would be a way we could enter.
Most of those committees all have openings too, if
Do they?
anybody would like to join.
Yeah, that would be a step.
That's the best way to get.
To be able to work on the committee.
We just filled one on housing authority, but affordable still has an opening.
And whether folks want to join the other committee or just visit with them, that was my. It seems worth talking about. Maybe we can talk about it next time. It is getting late. Maybe we can move on to the 10 item. I'll do the minutes for tonight. But I'm hoping that somebody will volunteer either now or beforehand to do the minutes for the next meeting. Joanne was so gracious to do the last 2 sets, and one of which is in our packets. So think about it. Don't all raise your hands at once. There's no raise to raise your hands. But it'd be good to have somebody.
So, can I ask, but I'm not raising my hand.
We saw you.
Can I ask a question if the past few meetings have been uploaded?
Not yet. We wanted to approve the minutes last
Okay.
meeting.
Right, no, because I wasn't here for the last 2 meetings, so I was just curious.
Ima, we are behind, so we are gonna bring it next time, but at least this time, let's approve these minutes and try to catch up. So we will bring other minutes as well.
As soon as if these are approved, then we'll make any edits. And
Yeah,
So
so
when
you,
those get approved, if they get sent to them, then we can fill in the back blank, but we're at least we're
right, so,
proactively going forward. That's the best way to do it. Don't wait until you get all the back ones completed.
Okay.
When we approve these tonight, tomorrow, you should send them to Marilyn. Yeah.
yeah, no, actually, I'm uploading them.
Yeah.
Marilyn-
Oh, you are, good.
Yeah.
So send them immediately.
Yeah. I've been doing it for a long time.
Oh, okay, I'll
Yeah,
send it to
so,
you then.
because I think when Marilyn was doing it until last year, but, yeah, so she requested that if it is possible for somebody from the committee to do it, and I had taken it over last year.
Okay.
So whatever you guys have, feel free to send it to me and I'll upload it.
Thank you. We will. The minutes.
I can send you what is missing also if you want, if it helps you.
Oh, it would. It
Yeah.
would be great. Yeah, which minutes are missing. Joanne, thank you, and absentia, well, thank you.
Thank you.
We sent this out last night. They're done in the style of previous minutes. So. I thought they were fine, but for, typo or two, which we can correct.
So I'll make a motion to accept them as submitted.
I second it.
I guess we need to do a full vote on this. You're right. Motion is made to accept the minutes as presented from the August meeting. And just call the roll. Angela, yeah, your name?
Aye.
Cynthia? Yes. Kathy?
Yep.
Mary Claire?
Yep.
Rahika? I'm sorry, Megan. Check. Yeah. Patricia?
Aye.
Scott? Hey. Nancy?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Madonna?
Aye.
Sima?
Aye,
Wendy?
she's unmute.
I think you said aye.
Aye, yep, sorry.
Catherine's not here. Aye. Very good. Aye, great. So they're accepted. Thank you very much. So we've done. And the next meeting we'll have will be the last.
Wednesday.
October, is it 20? Did I get that date right? Is it the 25th?
It is the 25th.
Very good. So we'll see you then. Shall we try in person again? Is this okay? No. No, you don't, I don't want to be so. So we'll try it again.
No.
Right, and then perhaps here. we can start. So, it's great to see you. It's great to see
Yeah,
you.
yeah, good to see you.
Before we leave, anything else?
Then I'll know.
Very good.
Anybody want any flyers?
Do
Has
you want to
any
make a
place
motion
to
to
put 'em
officially adjourn the meeting? Yeah, so motion to adjourn the
Yeah,
meeting.
Very good. Thank you. All right. All right, gang. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for everybody online. Thank you very much.